As you could probably see by my getup, we're doing another racing game today. F-Zero was a super popular franchise that started with the Super Nintendo, but it never got a Game Boy release. That is, until now. Welcome to Mike's Gaming Gala. I'm Mike, and this week we're looking at G-Zero for the Nintendo Game Boy, published by Ferrante Crafts. G-Zero comes in a nice cardboard box with a professionally printed manual, internal reinforcement tray, and of course the cartridge in a plastic travel case. The complete in-box price for this game is a whopping $76, but you can also get it as just a cartridge with the travel case for $34. So, is it worth it? Let's check it out. Starting up your console, you're thrown right into the title screen with a rocking track. Pressing start, you come to the vehicle selection screen. Here, you have a choice between 3 different cars. They're all similar, but have slight differences that can lend themselves to different play styles. Generally speaking, the faster a car is, the worse it turns. If your plan is to catch up to your opponents on the turns, it's probably best to pick one of the slower cars, as you won't have to let off the gas in the corners. But if you're a pedal to the metal on the straightaways kind of driver, pick a faster car. The differences are subtle though, so none of these is a bad choice. I actually found my best results came from the slowest one, called the Green Bug, with a maximum speed of 345 kilometers per hour. Once you've picked what you want to drive, you start your first race, Capital City. G-Zero is an F-Zero style racing game, where in every race you have 2 laps in which to take first place. The track and vehicle styles definitely evoke strong F-Zero vibes, as does the sensitivity of your steering. But I would say that the actual driving itself, especially in corners, is much more similar to games like Rad Racer on the NES, where you lean into a turn and slowly drift to the edge if you're going too fast. A big part of whether or not you'll be successful in a race will be up to your feel of how far you can push your chosen car. Depending on the turn, you may have to let off the gas, but others you'll just be able to make it through a turn without slowing down. What can make turns tricky, especially for new players, is passing your opponents. You always start in 4th place, and so you'll need to master your technique if you want any chance of winning. One thing to remember is that hitting anything, including other cars, will set you back big time. If you're struggling to pass someone in a turn, it's better to slow down and finish the turn behind them than to try to ram your way through. At the bottom of your screen is all the information you'll need for each race. From top to bottom, you have your race time, your current speed, your power, and your rank. All of these are pretty self-explanatory aside from power. Power is your vehicle's condition. Every time you hit something, whether it be the side of the track or an opponent, you'll lose power. Regardless of what position you're in, if this power meter runs out, you'll explode and lose the race. To the right of all these stats is a course map, and it's easily the most valuable thing here. When racing, you'll need to know what's coming up in order to position yourself on the track. Since you drift as you make turns, you should always position yourself on the inside edge so that you have more space to move and can keep your speed up. Every time you hit a straightaway, you'll want to glance down here to see what's coming up next. There are 6 tracks in G-Zero, each more difficult than the last. The first, as I said, is Capital City. This track is very simple, with only 6 turns in the entire course. With all the straightaways here, a fast car should have no issues coming in first. The horizon features a cityscape in the distance. The second track is Sunny Desert, with pyramids and a large sunset. This one has more than just the 90-degree turns that Capital City had, including a full hairpin near the end of the course. Third is High Mountains, and, as expected, the horizon here is mountainous. In addition to another hairpin on this track, we have a bit of a slalom section. Blue Ocean is the 4th course, and it's a curvy one. The horizon here is bland because, well, it's just water. On to track number 5, and we have Lava Valley. We've got a slalom on this one, but the big feature here is 3 back-to-back hairpin turns in the first half of the course. If you haven't mastered the art of passing on a turn by now, this track will end you for sure. Oh, and there are volcanoes in the background. And then last but not least is White Plains. With snow-capped hills on the horizon, this is the ultimate challenge. After each race, you get a score based on how you performed. And if you didn't come in first place, it'll be game over. And you'll return to the start screen with your high score at the bottom. And that's G0 for the Game Boy. So what did I think? For the Game Boy, it's pretty good. Clearly with the name and graphic look, they were going for F-Zero vibes here. Visually, they definitely succeeded. From a gameplay perspective though, I'd say not really. That's not a terrible thing though. F-Zero is a very twitchy racing game, and that probably wouldn't play well on a system like the Game Boy. Instead of that, we have something that feels more grounded. And in that regard, I actually found this to be a solid and challenging game. I had a lot of fun with this one, and the difficulty is right in that sweet spot of hard enough that it keeps you from beating it quickly, and not so hard that you don't want to give it another go. Now, is it worth $76 for the complete in-box copy? Personally, I'd say no, but at the end of the day, that's going to be up to you. The game is good, but I'd recommend the cartridge-only option if you want to pick this up and don't feel like you need to have it look good on a shelf. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you liked it. As always, I've got my contact info on the screen, and we'll see you next time on Mike's Gaming Gala.